Listen, you're not gonna find anything on me, okay? Trust me.
Empty your pockets into the tray, sir, or we'll have to. Your pockets, sir?
Lady, the problem isn't in my pants.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and it's time to talk about all things X-Men this week. And obviously, we're going to talk about X-Men number 10. We're going to talk about Cable number 2. I've already reviewed X-Factor number 1 on the channel, so we're going to skip that one. We also have a little bit of X-Men news that we're going to talk about at the end. But here to talk with me about all this is the Marvel aficionado, the X-Men historian. Doc, how you doing?
I'm doing spectacular this morning, brother. Looking forward
you're
to
doing
talking
a lot
some
better
X-Men.
than me because I read all these X-Men books. But I do want to say this before we get started. If you're here on Thinking Critical and you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, might as well get to it. Subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you enjoy this video, give us a big thumbs up. If you hate this video, give us an enormous thumbs down and let us know in the comments section below why we were off base or what we got wrong about this or what we missed. So that way we can get back to you. We love the feedback. But getting back to X-Men, this is, since Dawn of X has happened, this is the worst round of X-Men books I've read, bar none.
I would have to agree with you. You got basically 3 big swings and misses this week. Basically nothing, you didn't even get like a ground ball. It was just strikeouts.
All right, so let's talk about the big one first. X-Men number 10, Jonathan Hickman. It's the flagship series. It's really supposed to be one of the tent poles of Marvel Comics, up there with Spider-Man. Thor right now is a huge seller, some of those big titles. And I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know a whole lot about Vulcan to begin with. There's some interesting stuff there at the beginning, but then the way they tie it into Empyre with him, like, I don't know,
just wandering
atomizing the Katati that he runs into on the moon while he's upset. Like, okay.
Yeah, it was an interesting comic book for a couple of pages until Vulcan just decides to go for a walk. Yeah. And then when he goes for a walk on the moon, he fights plant people.
Yeah, that's essentially Marvel Comics right now. But there's before that, like the dialogue between him and the 2 ladies at the summer house on the moon about margaritas and morning drinks was just dreadful, man. It was a slog to get through. I was like, who wrote this? This feels like Joss Whedon or Teenie Howard, anybody but Jonathan Hickman. This isn't good, solid dialogue. This was trash.
I couldn't tell if they were trying to do like a bit on like, oh, Vulcan's an alcoholic. Look, Vulcan just drinks all the time. He doesn't do anything except for drinks all the time. I mean, first of all, I literally was sitting there going like, who in the hell is this blonde chick?
Couldn't figure it out either. Those 2 characters, to my knowledge, hadn't even been in X-Men or any of the Dawn of X books that I've read so far. I was thoroughly confused of who I was reading there. Like, who are these characters?
Yeah, it looked like they were trying to go with like Emma and Monet or something, but it's Petra and Sway. And I'm sitting there going, I barely remember you 2. Like, I'm pretty sure they were just a bunch of kind of throwaway characters. And the fact is, they didn't do anything. They didn't even like talk about anything. They had
saucy dialogue, Doc.
Yes, saucy. Well, saucy as in like just talking about the sauce. All they did was just try to like, okay, are these like hallucinations from him, just his subconscious just telling him, drink, get drunk, forget about everything that happened to you, drink, get drunk, forget about everything that happened to you? Is that what it is? Are they actually even there?
That's a good question. If that's the case, it's more interesting than I imagined, but not that much more interesting. Not interesting enough for anyone to actually read this. You shouldn't read these comic books this week. Now, talking about the actual interesting part in the beginning, where I guess he's abducted by some aliens. They kind of open him up, and there's the fire inside of him. And they realize, essentially, I guess he's an evil person, but they lock it behind like a little sliver of goodness so people won't see it, so he can burst free and destroy his friends and family at some point. That's the way I kind of read it.
That was kind of the vibe that I was getting out of it. Like, okay, cool. I guess this happens after War of the Kings, and he's just kind of lost on, in this sort of void, this space between universes, and these are extra universal aliens that are maybe an invading force, and figure he would be a good Trojan horse to send back. And I kind of got that. And that was at least remotely interesting. If he was back in any capacity where he was an actual risk, where he's just sitting there drinking margaritas on the moon all the time, he's not really a risk to anybody.
Yeah. Well, we do think that there's 2 Vulcans out there. We believe that he's been resurrected, but he was never dead to begin with. So that should be interesting if that's in fact the case. But nothing about this I guess the beginning is interesting with the fire and everything, but really bad comic book in my opinion. But it actually got worse. I thought X Factor was actually much worse. But really the worst comic out of all these Dawn of X this week is Cable #2. I was baffled and shocked at what I read. I mean, it is Jerry Duggan, so my expectations are pretty low to begin with. There's some really bad humor in here, as you would expect, but is it even a story?
Yeah, this was quintessential generic Duggan. There wasn't really a story. It was, there's a little bit with these space knights and trying to get the sword that he took out of the big doggy's paw in the first issue. But like a bunch of weird,
it's interesting. So the beginning of it, actually, the first 2 pages I thought were really interesting. I was like, man, this is this kind of stuff Dawn of X should be tackling. There's a couple of mutants. One of them has been depowered. The other one is not. They live together. They have a baby. And they're discussing whether or not they want to move back to Krakoa. The father is hesitant. He's like, listen, the last time we all got together, millions of mutants were slaughtered. Let's take a wait and see approach. And this feels like, a conversation that mutant couples would be having or mutant families would be having. Do we want to go to Krakoa? Yes, it is the utopia that we've been promised, but is it dangerous? Are we just putting our target on our chest? But that's not really what the story is about, because we find out the daughter's been kidnapped. And then we get 2 scenes, one with Cable, young Cable, and then where he's talking to the Philadelphia police, and he's getting, he's trying to be a tough guy, but he makes himself look like a moron, which I thought was interesting. I was like, okay, Duggan is doing a good job here, demonstrating that Cable is a kid, he's in over his head, and he's ineffectual. But then they basically played back the exact same scene with Cyclops and made him look like an idiot too. And I just think it's Duggan that's the idiot.
Yes, exactly. Like when they did it with Cable, and the cops basically didn't take him seriously. They're like, "Yeah, kid, just go play with your GI Joes." Okay, cool. Like, how does a character like Cable, that's got years, even as Kid Cable, he's already got years of essentially wartime experience and leading troops. How does he deal with not being taken seriously in the present just because of his age? But when they did it with Cyclops, and the cops basically treated him the exact same way, was this just Jerry Duggan taking a shot at cops not taking other people seriously? It feels like this is like,
if that was Jerry the angle, he was very ineffective in what he was trying to portray. He just made the characters look stupid, not the cops. The cops came off looking smart. They're like, get the hell out of here. This is our precinct. Now there's a scene where Cyclops is eating a meatball sub or a cheesesteak. It was really stupid. But then we start getting some information. This is probably the worst part about it, is apparently Cable is dating all the Cuckoo sisters, whatever their names are.
Esme.
I've had enough of polyamorous mutant stories. It's prevalent almost through all of Dawn of X. It's gotten pretty tired. I think it's weird that one guy would date 5 sisters that all look the same, and apparently they can all telepathically communicate. So it's not like he's cheating on them.
And they're all playing him at the same time. This
if they
whole
are,
thing-
they're playing their Emma Frost too, because or maybe she's playing Cyclops. I don't know. He was stupid, and I'm tired of it.
And the thing is, though, like that whole scene with him, like getting a cheesesteak, it was, the end of the cops basically crapping all over Cyclops, just told him, go get a cheesesteak. So he listens to them and goes and gets a cheesesteak. Like, what the hell? What the hell was even the point of this comic book?
Yeah, like I said, I don't recommend any of these X-Men titles this week. I'm dropping Cable. Absolutely. You got 2 shots. They were both awful. I'm not going to try X4 or X Factor again. That was bad. There's been enough good issues of X-Men, I guess, to keep going. But if I keep getting more of this filler crap of like what I'm getting enough of out of Hickman, I'll just drop that as well, I guess. So, Doc, I guess it's time to move on to the news. There's not a lot of big news. This shouldn't take very long. But we do see that Magneto is going to be returning to his roots with like the purple and kind of red costume. He's obviously been wearing white since House of X Powers of 10. Are you excited to see the old colors come back?
I sort of am. I don't see how this is kind of a big deal. He's gone back and forth a couple of times because, after AVX and after Xavier died, he went to the white costume. After a while, he went back to the red and the purple. It wasn't exactly the same. He went back to that for a little while, and then he went back to the white for House of X, Powers of X, and Dawn of X. So him going back to the red and purple, it's kind of that's quintessential Magneto. And I don't think that's really even implying a return to his evil Magneto, but I think it is just kind of maybe giving him a little bit more to look at whenever you see him, because the white Magneto costume is kind of boring.
It is. I imagine this symbolizes more than just a tailor change. I imagine there's some type of change or event with the character that will precede this. But like I said, not the biggest news in the world. Not a lot of big news to talk about. The other one that we see is in Empyre X-Men #1. We finally see the X-Corps coming back. Now, we had talked about this was going to be an ongoing series or maybe a mini series, and we thought it was going to be Vita Yala, maybe. Don't know if that series is ever coming, but X-Corp is back, within the Dawn of X universe. Are you excited about that? What do you expect for that in the future?
I see X-Corp as being redundant. You already have this entity that serves this purpose in the Hellfire Trading Corporation. When they kind of reestablished Hellfire as a kind of, in the same vein as the East India Corporation, all the old New World trading corporations that were handling a lot of the transportation of goods and services across the ocean. That is, they tailored it like that. And so having another entity that basically just serves to work as the trading.
If they were the R&D department or something cool like that was cool. That was maybe using some of the resources on Krakoa to make stuff that then they could then maybe put out, into the international markets, maybe make some more money, maybe have some type of ulterior motive. That would be cool. But unless it's something like that, then you're just like, okay.
But yeah, it's just doing the same thing as the Hellfire Trading Corporation. It's just another corporation to do business with the rest of the world. And you already have the Hellfire Trading Company for that. Do you really need the X Corporation for it too? Wouldn't they be working almost? Wouldn't it be almost a conflict of interest, or at the same time, getting two different entities? You're going to have them working at cross purposes. I don't see the purpose of this. I mean, having them be the R&D division of whatever they're doing with run by Forge. Yeah. And they should they're putting Angel and Penance Monet, and Sunspot, I believe, involved with the X Corporation. Well, why not just bring them into part of the Hellfire Trading Corporation? Hell, Sunspot was I think the Black King of the Hellfire Cup or the Hellfire Club for a while. So him coming back to Hellfire would not be surprising. His dad was part of Hellfire. His grandfather was part of Hellfire.
I think these are just all the leftovers. That's definitely what it felt like when I was reading X Factor, and that's what it seems like here. Hopefully it won't be a comic book. If it is, it's just a mini series, like 4 issues, because there's too much Dawn of X right now. It is so watered down and bad right now. I have a sour taste in my mouth with all the stuff with Hickman's X-Men. My expectations were too high to begin with, but what I'm receiving now is beyond substandard for the most part, almost across the board. So I'm not excited about it. All right, Doc. Well, I'm not talking about this shit anymore. This is a really bad week for X-Men. Maybe Magneto's costume will be cool. Other than that, the comics were bad, and okay, X-Corp, cool.
Yay. I mean, maybe if they worked as a subsidiary of the Hellfire Corporation, or and you know what? The one thing I will say though about the issue of Cable this week was that Phil Noto's art has really already suffered, and it's only issue 2. The guy's just not an interior artist.
It's pretty bland and boring.
Yeah.
Nothing, no life to it. It's pretty, I don't know. Not good art. There's whatever. It was a shitstorm this week for X-Men. Doc, I'm gonna let you go. I've had enough of this.
All right. I don't blame you, brother. This is a terrible week.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.